Hi everyone, today I wanted to show you how to make beanies. These are really simple half double crochet beanies and you can make them in every size. This pattern is my favorite go-to pattern because I can customize everything about it and it just really helps me get the sizing right every single time. This is the most basic pattern that I know of and it works up really easily and you don't have to really mess with too much with measuring and trying to get everything perfect. It just always works out. So for this you do need to have some kind of tape measure because there's a chart that I follow that gives you the exact measurements for every size, and as long as you follow that it works out perfectly. So I already made this one. This one's a newborn size, or this is a 0 to 3 month size. And I also made this one, which is an adult an adult woman's large. So it's bigger, but it follows the exact same pattern. I'm going to show you how to make this beanie in another size. I'm going to show you how to make it in a preemie size right now, and it's going to be in a yellow color. So let's get started. Okay, so to start this beanie, we're going to use worsted weight yarn in a 4.5 millimeter hook. We're going to be working in the round. So let's start by creating our magic loop. I have a full tutorial on how to do this, but basically you wrap the yarn around 2 fingers so that you have the working yarn and then 2 strands that form the actual loop. Insert your hook under the 2 strands, grab the working yarn and pull it through, and then just chain 1. Then you can take the loops off your fingers and work 6 half double crochet into this loop. The yarn over, insert your hook into the loop, and pull up another loop. You have 3 loops now. Yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. That's your first half double crochet. Let's work 5 more. Oops. It's a little bit hard to see through the camera. Okay, that should be 6. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. Now to close the loop, you're going to tug on this tail end a little bit and see which loop gets smaller. Okay, this one. So now if you pull the other end of this loop, it makes this loop get smaller. You're going to pull that to close it, and then pull the tail to close that loop. Okay, now we're going to finish this round by working a slip knot to join this first stitch. And here. Okay, now we're going to work on making the circle bigger. We're going to increase by working a chain 2, and now working 2 half double crochet into each space around, starting with the same space as your chain. So 1, oh sorry, that was a double crochet, not a half double. Here is a proper half double. I'm going to pull through all 3 loops at the same time. Now continue working 2 half double crochets into each space all the way around. And because you started with 6 half double crochet in the loop, you should have 12 half double crochet at the end because you've increased into each space. And here is our last space. No, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Now you can see that this last space, we're going to leave that. It's not really a space, it's where you slip stitch to close the round. So we're going to actually do that again. To close this round, insert your hook. You can either insert it into the chain 2, this line, or you can insert it into the top right here of the actual chain space. Let's work there. Just slip stitch and it'll close the round. Now we want to continue increasing the circle until it is the right size for the hat that you're making. So I am making a hat for a preemie. So the size that I'm going to be looking for the crown, which is the top part of the hat, is somewhere between 2.5 and 3 inches. So I'm going to go for 3 inches. So I'm going to continue increasing until the diameter from one end to the other end, going through the center, is 3 inches. So I'm going to increase by starting another round. Chain 2 to start the round, then work 1 half double crochet, and you work down to the same space. And now for each stitch after, you're going to work 2 half double crochet into one space, then 1 half double crochet. Then you're going to work 2 into the next, and then 1. So you're increasing every other space. Here's our 2. And now we're going to use just 1 normal half double crochet. And now we're going to increase in the next one. Okay, here we are at the end of the row, the end of the round I should say, and now we should have 18 stitches. Each round is going to increase by 6 stitches each time, so that's how you can keep track of how many stitches you're supposed to have. So at the end of this round, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this into the top of the space to close off the round. And here is my circle. Now for the next row, again chain 2, and this time I'm going to work 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then increase in the next. So the first row had no space, had no half double crochets between increases. The second row had a half double crochet and then an increase. This third row is going to have 2 half double crochets and then an increase. And you're going to continue going like that, increasing the number of stitches between your increases to continue making your circle bigger. And once your circle is the right size, I'll show you what to do next. So let me start this row by working 2 half double crochets separately, the 1 and then 2, and now we're going to work an increase into this next space, 1 and 2 into the same. Okay, so continue all the way around, and once my circle is the right size, I will come back to show you what to do. Okay, So I've just completed that row with 2 stitches and then an increase, and here is my circle. I'm making this for a preemie, so I did expect this to be small, but I didn't expect 3 inches to be quite so small. So here's my circle and it's at 3 inches. If you were making this for a larger size, you would continue increasing until your hat is the right size, until the crown measurement reaches whatever you want it to. I actually have a full chart in a guide on sizing hats, so be sure to pick that up. Or if you got this from the ebook, then it's already in that book. There's a page on it. But let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we're going to work on the body of the hat now. This is the top of the hat, the crown. So we're going to work on creating the sides. We're going to do this by starting with a chain 2. And now you're going to half double crochet into each space. So you're going to just work 1 half double crochet into every single space. Working rounds and half double crochet has a tendency of slanting a little bit, so you have a seam that goes off to one side. So to combat that, I'm going to eliminate the seam altogether in this because I don't really like seeing it. I don't mind it on the crown where you're working in rows because it's going to be flat against your head anyway, so I don't mind this much of a seam right here. But along the sides and bottom of the hat, I would rather not see it. So once you get around to the end, the last space, normally we would skip this chain space and then slip stitch here to finish the row, but this time we're going to work one space right there, and instead of slip stitching to the top, we're just going to continue working half double crochet. So we're going to be working without joining, we're going to work in continuous rounds, just half double crochet. You can put a stitch marker here now to mark that as the first stitch of the row, or you can just keep going. I like to mark it sometimes, but for this I think I'm just going to continue working. So now just continue working in rounds of half double crochet, working all the way around until the body of your hat measures somewhere around, for this one we're going to work for 4 inches. So 4 inches from here. Okay, so this is the end of the row. And I can remember that this is the beginning of mine because I still see the seam from the crown stitches. But you wouldn't see this after a little while, you're going to forget about it. But you can see how without chaining or doing anything else, I'm just going to continue working in single crochet. And this is going, like, it looks a little bit uneven at first. Before I did that stitch here, let me show you. Before I did that stitch, maybe you can tell, maybe you can't, but this stitch is lower than this one. That's because this is a row higher. But once you work into it, once you work that last stitch right here, it actually evens out and you can't tell. So this is row 2. Let's just continue working, and I will meet you back here once I've worked 4 inches. Okay, so once you reach the end of your row and you've worked the right amount of height for your hat, I worked 4 inches because that's what my size calls for, you can finish off. Here's my last stitch, my last half double crochet, and then I'm going to bind off and show you how to really finish this so it's seamless. So first, let's trim this excess yarn. Just take your scissors and cut it. And now you're going to be needing a tapestry needle. So we finished this stitch, and now instead of yarning over and binding off like we usually do, just pull that end through. Okay? So it just comes out of the 3 loops like this. Now, thread that through a tapestry needle. And to make this seamless, we're going to insert our needle through both legs of the next stitch, pull it through, and now we're going to insert our needle back into that last stitch that we worked, going through the center and the back loop only of this stitch. So go through it and pull the yarn through. So now it creates another stitch in between here, in between that first stitch and that last stitch, to seal it off and bring it all so that it's level and not one stitch is higher than the other. Then you can fasten off this yarn and weave in the ends and trim all the excess like you usually do. For now, I'm just going to leave it here just so I can show you the finished hat. So I'm going to tuck it in for now. So this hat that I made is for a preemie size. And while I was making it, I was thinking, wow, this is so small. And it is, but so are babies. But this is the right size. When I actually compared it to my newborn size, though, it made a lot more sense. It seemed, the right size. See, it's a little bit smaller, but not so much smaller that I'd be concerned it wouldn't fit. So, here's my preemie size. Here's my newborn one. And I made these exactly the same way. I just worked to different lengths for the crown and the height of the hat based on my hat sizing chart, which you can get in the description below or in the ebook if you've already got that. I can also have my finished adult size, which is an adult large, and I did the same thing. The only difference is that I worked my last couple rows in rows of single crochet in a different color. And I did this just to add a little bit of interest in something a little bit different to this one. But if you wanted to change up your stitches or your colors, that'd be perfectly fine. The actual hat pattern itself, though, is very simple. To actually go with this hat, I made a pair of fingerless gloves, and you'll find the pattern for that also in the book. So here is your basic beanie pattern, and you can use it to make beanies for everybody. Okay, hope you enjoyed.